Welcome to the complete history of Nevada, a state that embodies the American dream like no other. From the ancient peoples who first called this desert home, to the miners who struck it rich, to the neon-lit casinos that changed entertainment forever, Nevada's story is one of transformation, perseverance, and endless reinvention. Today, we're going to explore over 12,000 years of history in the Silver State, a journey that will take us through indigenous civilizations, Spanish conquistadors, Mexican rule, the largest silver discovery in American history, and the rise of Las Vegas as the entertainment capital of the world. So, grab your pickaxe and your poker chips, because we're about to dig deep into the fascinating history of Nevada. Chapter 1: The Ancient Peoples. Our story begins not with European explorers or American pioneers, but with the indigenous peoples who called Nevada home for thousands of years before any outsider set foot in the region. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans first arrived in what is now Nevada around 12,000 years ago, during the end of the last ice age. These early peoples found a dramatically different landscape than today's Nevada, one with large lakes, lush grasslands, and abundant wildlife, including mammoths, giant ground sloths, and ancient bison. As the climate changed and the ice age ended, these early inhabitants adapted remarkably well. They developed sophisticated hunting and gathering techniques, created intricate petroglyphs that we can still see today, and established trade networks that stretched across the western United States. By the time Europeans arrived, Nevada was home to several distinct Native American groups. In the north, the Northern Paiute people dominated the landscape around Pyramid Lake and the Humboldt River. The Southern Paiute controlled much of southern Nevada, while the Western Shoshone people inhabited the central and eastern portions of the state. In the far south, near present-day Las Vegas, lived the Mojave people. Each group had developed unique adaptations to Nevada's challenging desert environment. The Northern Paiute became master fishermen, taking advantage of the abundant trout in Pyramid Lake and the Truckee River. The Western Shoshone developed sophisticated methods for harvesting pine nuts, which became a dietary staple. The Southern Paiute mastered desert survival, knowing exactly when and where to find water, edible plants, and game. These weren't nomadic peoples wandering aimlessly through the desert. They were sophisticated societies with complex social structures, trade relationships, and intimate knowledge of one of North America's most challenging environments. They had been successfully living in Nevada for over 10,000 years when the first Europeans arrived. Chapter 2: Spanish Exploration and Mexican Rule. The first Europeans to see Nevada were Spanish explorers, though they barely scratched the surface of this vast territory. In 1776, the same year the Declaration of Independence was signed on the other side of the continent, Spanish missionaries Francisco Atanasio Dominguez and Silvestre Vélez de Escalante passed through the extreme southern tip of Nevada while searching for a route from Santa Fe to California. But Spain was never particularly interested in Nevada. The region seemed to offer little in the way of gold, silver, or other resources that the Spanish crown valued. It was too far from established trade routes and appeared to be nothing but inhospitable desert. So for the next several decades, Nevada remained largely unknown to the outside world. This changed in 1821 when Mexico gained independence from Spain and inherited vast territories in the American Southwest, including Nevada. But like Spain before it, Mexico showed little interest in developing this remote desert region. Nevada remained part of the huge territory of Alta California, governed from distant Monterey. The Mexican period saw the first significant European-Mexican penetration into Nevada. In 1826, Jedediah Smith became the first American to cross Nevada, leading a small party of fur trappers on an epic journey from the Great Salt Lake to California. Smith's route took him through some of the most challenging terrain in North America, and his success opened the door for other American explorers. The most significant exploration during the Mexican period came from John C. Fremont, known as the Pathfinder. Between 1843 and 1845, Fremont led several expeditions through Nevada, mapping the region and providing the first detailed descriptions of its geography, resources, and potential for settlement. Fremont's reports were widely read in the eastern United States and helped generate American interest in the far west. But even with these explorations, Nevada remained sparsely populated. A few Mexican ranchers established operations in the extreme south, and American trappers occasionally passed through, but the region was still essentially controlled by its Native American inhabitants. This all changed dramatically with the Mexican-American War of 1846-1848. When Mexico was defeated and forced to cede the entire Southwest to the United States in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Nevada suddenly found itself part of American territory. The stage was set for dramatic changes that would transform this desert region forever. Chapter 3: American Acquisition and the California Gold Rush. When Nevada became American territory in 1848, it was initially part of the vast Utah Territory, governed by Brigham Young and the Mormon Church from Salt Lake City. But Nevada's destiny would soon be shaped by events happening 200 miles to the west, in California. The discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill in California in 1848 triggered the greatest migration in American history up to that point. Over 300,000 people rushed to California in search of fortune, and many of them had to cross Nevada to get there. Suddenly, this empty desert became a crucial corridor. The California Trail, which followed the Humboldt River across northern Nevada, became one of the most important routes to the gold fields. Tens of thousands of 49ers trudged across Nevada's harsh landscape, and many of them didn't make it. The trail was marked by abandoned wagons, makeshift graves, and the bones of oxen that had died along the way. But Nevada's role as a mere corridor to California riches was about to change dramatically. In 1859, prospectors working in the Virginia Range east of Lake Tahoe made a discovery that would put Nevada on the map forever: the Comstock Lode. The Comstock Lode was unlike anything that had been discovered before in American history. While California's gold rush involved individual miners panning for gold in streams and rivers, the Comstock was an enormous underground vein of silver and gold that required industrial-scale mining operations. The discovery began when miners Henry Comstock, Ethan Allen Grosh, and others found gold in what they initially called Gold Canyon. But they kept running into this annoying blue-black mud that gummed up their equipment. It wasn't until they had the mud assayed that they discovered it was incredibly rich silver ore, some of the richest ever found. News of the discovery spread like wildfire. Within months, thousands of miners, merchants, and fortune seekers were pouring into the Virginia range. The town of Virginia City sprang up almost overnight, built on the steep slopes of Mount Davidson. By 1860, Virginia City had over 15,000 residents and was one of the most important cities in the American West. The wealth that came out of the Comstock lode was staggering. Over the next 20 years, the mines would produce over $400 million worth of silver and gold, equivalent to billions of dollars today. This wealth helped finance the Union cause during the Civil War and contributed significantly to American economic development. But mining the Comstock wasn't easy. The ore was buried deep underground, sometimes 2,000 feet or more below the surface. The mines were incredibly hot. Temperatures could reach 130 degrees Fahrenheit and were constantly flooded with scalding water. Mining companies had to develop new technologies, including massive pumping systems and innovative timber supports, just to keep the mines operational. The social world of Virginia City was unlike anywhere else in America. It was a cosmopolitan place where recent immigrants from Ireland, Germany, China, and Cornwall worked alongside American-born miners. The city had opera houses, theaters, newspapers, and some of the finest restaurants and hotels in the West. Mark Twain got his start as a writer working for the Territorial Enterprise newspaper in Virginia City. But the Comstock boom also had a dark side. Working conditions in the mines were incredibly dangerous, and hundreds of miners died in accidents. The environmental impact was severe. Entire mountainsides were stripped bare of trees to provide timber for the mines, and toxic chemicals used in ore processing polluted local water supplies. Chapter 4: Statehood During War. The Comstock lode discovery couldn't have come at a more crucial time in American history. As tensions between North and South escalated toward civil war, Nevada's vast mineral wealth became strategically important to the federal government. In 1861, as the nation split apart, President Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Congress moved quickly to organize Nevada as a separate territory, breaking it away from Utah. They appointed James W. Nye, a New York politician and strong Lincoln supporter, as territorial governor. The timing was no coincidence. Lincoln and his administration wanted to ensure that Nevada's wealth would support the Union cause, not the Confederacy. They also wanted to add another anti-slavery state to the Union as quickly as possible. But there was a problem. Nevada didn't have nearly enough people to qualify for statehood under normal circumstances. The U.S. Constitution requires territories to have at least 60,000 residents before they can apply for statehood. Nevada had maybe 25,000 people at most. But the Civil War changed everything. Lincoln needed Nevada's silver to help finance the war effort, and he needed Nevada's electoral votes to ensure his re-election in 1864. So Lincoln pushed for Nevada statehood anyway. In 1864, Congress passed an enabling act allowing Nevada to become a state despite its small population. The Territorial Constitutional Convention was held in Carson City that summer, and on October 31, 1864, just 8 days before the presidential election, Nevada became the 36th state in the Union. Nevada's path to statehood was unprecedented. The entire state constitution was telegraphed to Washington, D.C., the longest telegraph transmission in history up to that point, consisting of over 16,000 words and costing $4,303 to send. Lincoln signed the proclamation admitting Nevada to the Union, giving rise to the state's nickname, Battle-Born. Nevada's contribution to the Union war effort was enormous. The silver from the Comstock mines helped stabilize Union finances at a crucial time. Nevada also provided soldiers for the Union Army, though most of the military activity in the state involved protecting mining operations and travel routes from Confederate sympathizers and hostile Native American groups. The most significant military action in Nevada during the Civil War involved conflicts with Native American tribes who were struggling to maintain their traditional way of life as miners and settlers flooded into their territory. The Pyramid Lake War of 1860 was the largest conflict, triggered by tensions over land use and the treatment of Native Americans by white settlers. But Nevada's most important contribution to the Union cause was its 3 electoral votes in the 1864 presidential election. Lincoln won re-election by a comfortable margin, but Nevada's support helped ensure his victory and the continuation of the war effort until the Union was preserved. Statehood brought new challenges and opportunities. Nevada had to establish a complete state government almost from scratch. The new state legislature met for the first time in Carson City in 1864, and they faced enormous tasks, creating a tax system, establishing courts, organizing counties, and building basic infrastructure. The early years of statehood were dominated by the continued prosperity of the Comstock mines, but there were signs that the boom wouldn't last forever. By the late 1860s, the richest and most easily accessible ore had been extracted, and mining companies were struggling with increasing costs and technical challenges. Chapter 5: Railroad Revolution and Economic Transformation. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869 marked the beginning of a new era for Nevada. The railroad didn't just connect Nevada to the rest of the country. It fundamentally transformed the state's economy, society, and future prospects. The Central Pacific Railroad, building eastward from California, employed thousands of workers, including large numbers of Chinese immigrants, to blast through the Sierra Nevada mountains and lay track across Nevada's desert. The work was incredibly difficult and dangerous. Workers had to blast through solid granite using black powder and nitroglycerin, work in sub-zero temperatures at high altitude, and survive avalanches and other natural disasters. When the railroad was completed at Promontory Summit, Utah, in May 1869, Nevada suddenly found itself connected to a national transportation network. Goods, people, and information could now move across the continent in a matter of days rather than months. For Nevada, the railroad brought immediate benefits and long-term changes. The cost of shipping ore from the Comstock mines dropped dramatically, making it profitable to extract lower-grade ore that hadn't been worth mining before. The railroad also made it much easier to import the heavy machinery, timber, and other supplies needed for large-scale mining operations. But the railroad also created new towns and economic opportunities across Nevada. Reno, which had been just a small crossing on the Truckee River, became an important railroad town and the commercial center for northern Nevada. Elko emerged as a major railroad stop in the eastern part of the state. These railroad towns became centers of commerce, transportation, and communication. The 1870s and 1880s saw significant changes in Nevada's mining industry. As the richest ore from the Comstock played out, mining companies had to develop new technologies and techniques to extract silver from deeper and more complex deposits. This led to innovations in mining engineering, including new methods for ventilation, water removal, and ore processing. But the real transformation came with the development of new mining districts across the state. The discovery of silver at Eureka in the 1860s led to the development of one of Nevada's most important mining centers. The Eureka district produced not just silver, but also significant amounts of lead, which was crucial for the growing industrial economy. In the 1880s and 1890s, new gold discoveries began to change Nevada's mining landscape once again. The discovery of gold at Tonopah in 1900 triggered Nevada's second great mining boom. Unlike the silver-focused Comstock, Tonopah was primarily a gold camp, but it was just as rich and just as transformative. The Tonopah discovery was followed by even more significant finds at Goldfield, which became one of the richest gold camps in American history. Between 1903 and 1918, Goldfield produced over $86 million worth of gold and became Nevada's largest city, with a population of over 20,000 people. These new mining booms attracted a different kind of development than the Comstock. While the Comstock had been dominated by large corporations with deep pockets, the early days of Tonopah and Goldfield saw more opportunities for individual prospectors and small mining companies. This created a more democratic mining culture, though it eventually evolved into corporate-dominated operations as well. The railroad era also saw significant changes in Nevada's agricultural development. The construction of irrigation systems, particularly in the Truckee Meadows around Reno and in the Carson Valley, allowed for the development of cattle ranching and farming. Nevada began to develop a more diversified economy, though mining remained the dominant economic activity. But perhaps the most important long-term impact of the railroad was that it connected Nevada to national and international markets in ways that had never been possible before. Nevada's mining boom and bust cycles became connected to global economic trends, commodity prices, and investment patterns. This would have profound implications for the state's future development. Chapter 6: Boom, Bust, and the Early 20th Century. The early 20th century brought both tremendous opportunity and significant challenges to Nevada. The state experienced some of its greatest mining booms during this period, but also had to confront the reality that mining-based economies are inherently unstable. The Tonopah and Goldfield discoveries of the early 1900s triggered what many historians call Nevada's second mining boom. But this boom was different from the Comstock era in several important ways. First, it was based primarily on gold rather than silver, which made it somewhat more stable since gold prices were less volatile. Second, it occurred during a period of rapid technological advancement which allowed for more efficient extraction and processing of ore. Goldfield, in particular, became a symbol of the new Nevada. At its peak, between 1905 and 1910, Goldfield was a thriving metropolis with electric lights, telephone service, modern hotels, and even an opera house. The town attracted not just miners and prospectors, but also investors, engineers, and entrepreneurs from around the world. The wealth generated by these new mining districts was enormous. Jim Butler, who discovered the first silver ore at Tonopah, became one of the richest men in Nevada. George Wingfield, who got his start in Goldfield, eventually became known as the Napoleon of Nevada finance and controlled much of the state's banking and mining industries. But the boom times couldn't last forever. By 1918, most of the easily accessible high-grade ore at Goldfield had been extracted, and the town began a rapid decline. Tonopah lasted somewhat longer, but it too eventually succumbed to depleted ore bodies and increased production costs. The mining busts of the 1910s and 1920s hit Nevada hard. The state's population actually declined during this period as miners, merchants, and others left for opportunities elsewhere. Towns that had been thriving centers of commerce became ghost towns almost overnight. The state's economy struggled, and Nevada faced serious questions about its future viability. It was during this challenging period that Nevada began to develop what would become one of its most important industries: divorce. In 1909, the state legislature passed a law reducing the residency requirement for divorce from 6 months to just 3 months. This made Nevada an attractive destination for people seeking quick divorces, particularly wealthy individuals from eastern states where divorce laws were much more restrictive. The divorce trade brought new money and attention to Nevada, particularly to Reno, which marketed itself as the divorce capital of America. Famous people, including movie stars and wealthy socialites, came to Reno to establish residency and obtain divorces. This created a small but lucrative industry of lawyers, hotels, and entertainment venues catering to divorce seekers. But the divorce trade, while important, wasn't enough to solve Nevada's economic problems. The state needed something bigger, something that could replace the declining mining industry as a foundation for economic growth. The answer came in 1931, when the Nevada legislature made 2 decisions that would fundamentally transform the state's future. First, they reduced the residency requirement for divorce from 3 months to just 6 weeks, making Nevada even more attractive to divorce seekers. Second, and much more importantly, they legalized most forms of gambling. The legalization of gambling was controversial and pragmatic in equal measure. Gambling had always existed in Nevada. It was common in mining camps and frontier towns, but it had never been explicitly legal. The 1931 law change was partly a response to the economic challenges of the Great Depression, but it was also a recognition that Nevada needed to find new ways to generate revenue and attract visitors. The gambling law wasn't initially expected to be transformative. Most legislators probably thought it would generate some additional tax revenue and maybe attract a few more tourists. They couldn't have imagined that they were laying the foundation for one of the most successful entertainment industries in world history. The early years of legal gambling in Nevada were modest. Small casinos opened in Reno and Las Vegas, catering primarily to local residents and the occasional tourist. The games were simple: poker, blackjack, craps, and slot machines. And the atmosphere was more like a frontier saloon than a modern casino. But even in these early years, there were signs of what was to come. Entrepreneurs began to see the potential for something bigger and more sophisticated. They started investing in larger facilities, better entertainment, and marketing campaigns designed to attract visitors from California and other Western states. Chapter 7: The New Deal and World War II Transformation. The 1930s and 1940s marked a crucial turning point in Nevada's history. The combination of New Deal federal programs, World War II military installations, and the early development of the Las Vegas Strip transformed Nevada from a struggling mining state into a modern economic powerhouse. The Great Depression hit Nevada particularly hard because the state was so dependent on mining, which was severely affected by falling commodity prices and reduced demand. By 1932, Nevada had the highest unemployment rate in the nation, and many communities were on the verge of economic collapse. But Nevada's fortunes began to change with the election of Franklin D. Roosevelt and the implementation of New Deal programs. The most significant of these was the Boulder Dam project, later renamed Hoover Dam, which began construction in 1931. Hoover Dam was one of the largest public works projects in American history up to that point. The dam required over 5,000 workers at its peak, and the federal government built an entire town, Boulder City, to house them. The project brought millions of dollars in federal spending to southern Nevada and provided employment for thousands of people during the worst years of the Depression. But Hoover Dam was more than just a jobs program. The dam created Lake Mead, the largest artificial lake in the United States, and provided a reliable source of water and electricity for the growing Southwest. It also became a major tourist attraction, drawing hundreds of thousands of visitors who came to see this marvel of modern engineering. The construction of Hoover Dam had profound effects on Las Vegas, which was still a small railroad town with fewer than 10,000 residents when construction began. The thousands of workers building the dam needed places to spend their money, and Las Vegas was the closest real town. Casinos, hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues all benefited from the influx of dam workers and the growing stream of tourists coming to see the dam. World War II brought even more dramatic changes to Nevada. The federal government established several major military installations in the state, including the Reno Army Air Base, Stead Air Force Base, and, most importantly, the Las Vegas Army Airfield, which later became Nellis Air Force Base. These military installations brought thousands of servicemen and their families to Nevada, along with civilian contractors and support personnel. The military presence provided economic stability and growth during the war years, and established Nevada as an important part of the American defense infrastructure. But the most significant military development in Nevada was the establishment of the Nevada Test Site in 1951. Located about 65 miles northwest of Las Vegas, the test site became the primary location for atmospheric nuclear weapons testing in the continental United States. Between 1951 and 1962, the U.S. conducted over 100 atmospheric nuclear tests at the Nevada Test Site. These tests, which could be seen from Las Vegas and other nearby communities, became a bizarre form of tourist attraction. Hotels in Las Vegas actually advertised atomic views and held atomic parties, where guests could watch the distant mushroom clouds. The nuclear testing program brought significant federal investment to Nevada and helped establish the state as a center for advanced technology and defense research. But it also had serious long-term consequences, including environmental contamination and health problems for test site workers and nearby residents. While these federal programs were transforming Nevada's economy and society, the gambling industry was also beginning to evolve. The 1940s saw the construction of several important casinos that would serve as models for future development. The most significant was the Flamingo, built by gangster Bugsy Siegel in 1946. The Flamingo was revolutionary for its time. It combined gambling with luxury accommodations, fine dining, and top-quality entertainment. While Siegel was murdered shortly after the casino opened, the Flamingo established the template for the modern Las Vegas resort. Other important developments during this period included the opening of the Last Frontier in 1942 and the Desert Inn in 1950. Each of these properties pushed the boundaries of what a casino could be, incorporating themes, entertainment, and amenities that went far beyond simple gambling. By the end of the 1940s, Nevada had been fundamentally transformed. The state that had struggled through the mining busts of the early 20th century had found new sources of economic growth and stability. Federal investment, military installations, and the early development of the modern casino industry had created a foundation for unprecedented growth in the decades to come. Chapter 8: The Rise of Las Vegas and the Entertainment Capital. The 1950s and 1960s marked the emergence of Las Vegas as a global entertainment destination and the transformation of Nevada into America's playground. This period saw the construction of iconic casinos, the arrival of world-famous entertainers, and the development of the modern tourism industry that would make Nevada one of the fastest-growing states in the nation. The transformation began with a new generation of casino entrepreneurs who understood that the future of gambling lay not just in games of chance, but in creating complete entertainment experiences. These visionaries recognized that people would travel great distances and spend significant money if they were offered luxury, excitement, and world-class entertainment all in one place. The key figure in this transformation was Howard Hughes, the eccentric billionaire who arrived in Las Vegas in 1966 and began buying casinos and hotels at an unprecedented scale. Hughes purchased the Desert Inn, the Sands, the Frontier, the Silver Slipper, and several other properties, investing hundreds of millions of dollars in Las Vegas real estate and helping to legitimize the gambling industry. Hughes' involvement was crucial because it helped distance Las Vegas from its association with organized crime. Throughout the 1940s and 1950s, many Las Vegas casinos had been controlled or influenced by organized crime figures, which limited the industry's growth potential and kept many legitimate investors away. Hughes' massive investments signaled that Las Vegas could be a legitimate business opportunity. But the real stars of this era were the entertainers who made Las Vegas their home. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop, collectively known as the Rat Pack, made the Copa Room at the Sands their unofficial headquarters. Their legendary performances, combined with their offstage antics, helped establish Las Vegas as the entertainment capital of the world. The Rat Pack era represented more than just entertainment. It was a cultural phenomenon that captured the imagination of Americans during the 1950s and 1960s. Their shows were spontaneous, unpredictable, and incredibly entertaining. They would interrupt each other's performances, make jokes about current events, and create an atmosphere of sophisticated fun that was unlike anything else in American entertainment. Other legendary performers also made Las Vegas their second home. Elvis Presley began his Las Vegas career in 1969 with a residency at the International Hotel, later the Las Vegas Hilton, launching what would become a 7-year run that redefined what a Las Vegas show could be. Elvis's Las Vegas shows were spectacular productions featuring full orchestras, elaborate costumes, and an energy that was uniquely his own. The success of these entertainers drove the construction of increasingly elaborate and luxurious casinos. The 1960s saw the opening of Caesar's Palace, which set new standards for luxury and themed entertainment. Caesar's Palace wasn't just a casino, it was a complete fantasy environment that transported visitors to ancient Rome, complete with classical architecture, Roman statuary, and staff dressed in togas. Other iconic properties followed. The International Hotel, now the Las Vegas Hilton, was the largest hotel in the world when it opened in 1969. The MGM Grand, which opened in 1973, was even larger and more luxurious. Each new casino tried to outdo its predecessors in terms of size, luxury, and entertainment offerings. This period also saw the development of the modern Las Vegas marketing machine. Casino operators realized that they needed to attract visitors from across the country, not just from California and the Southwest. They developed sophisticated advertising campaigns, offered package deals that included airfare and hotel accommodations, and created special events and tournaments designed to attract specific groups of customers. The growth of Las Vegas during this period was staggering. The city's population grew from about 24,000 in 1950 to over 125,000 in 1970. The number of visitors increased even more dramatically, from about 300,000 annual visitors in 1945 to over 6 million by 1970. But Las Vegas wasn't the only part of Nevada that was growing. Reno also developed its own casino and entertainment industry, though on a smaller scale than Las Vegas. Reno marketed itself as the biggest little city in the world and attracted visitors from Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. The success of Nevada's gambling and entertainment industry had profound effects on the state's economy and society. Gaming revenues became the state's largest source of tax income, allowing Nevada to maintain low tax rates in other areas and avoid implementing a state income tax. The tourism industry created hundreds of thousands of jobs, from casino dealers and hotel clerks to entertainers and construction workers. The growth also created new challenges. Nevada had to build massive new infrastructure: roads, airports, water systems, and power plants to support the influx of visitors and new residents. The state also had to develop new regulatory systems to oversee the gambling industry and ensure its integrity. By the end of the 1960s, Nevada had successfully reinvented itself once again. The state that had been built on mining booms and busts had created a new and more stable economic foundation based on entertainment and tourism. This foundation would support continued growth for decades to come. Chapter 9: Modern Nevada: Corporate Gaming and Diversification. The 1970s and 1980s marked another major transformation in Nevada's development as the state moved from small-scale, often family-owned casinos to massive corporate entertainment complexes. This period saw the construction of mega-resorts, the development of new forms of entertainment, and the beginning of Nevada's economic diversification beyond gaming and tourism. The transformation began with changes in Nevada's gaming laws that allowed publicly traded corporations to own casinos. Previously, gaming licenses had been limited to individuals, which restricted the amount of capital available for casino development and limited the industry's growth potential. The new laws opened the door for major corporations to invest in Nevada gaming, bringing unprecedented amounts of capital and business expertise to the industry. The first major corporate player was Holiday Inn, which opened the Holiday Casino in 1973. But the real game changer was the entry of Steve Wynn, who would become the most influential casino developer of the late 20th century. Wynn's Golden Nugget, which opened in downtown Las Vegas in 1973, set new standards for luxury and customer service in the gaming industry. But Wynn's real breakthrough came with the opening of the Mirage in 1989. The Mirage wasn't just a casino, it was a complete entertainment destination featuring an artificial volcano that erupted every 15 minutes, an enormous aquarium, white tigers, and spectacular shows. The Mirage cost $630 million to build, making it the most expensive casino ever constructed up to that point. The success of the Mirage triggered an unprecedented building boom on the Las Vegas Strip. The 1990s saw the construction of increasingly elaborate themed resorts, each trying to outdo its competitors in terms of size, luxury, and entertainment offerings. Excalibur, which opened in 1990, was themed as a medieval castle and was the largest hotel in the world at the time of its construction. The Luxor, which opened in 1993, was built as a giant pyramid with a sphinx guarding its entrance. New York, New York recreated the Manhattan skyline, complete with a roller coaster winding through its buildings. But the most ambitious project of this era was the MGM Grand, which opened in 1993 as the largest hotel in the world with over 5,000 rooms. The MGM Grand was more than just a hotel and casino. It included a theme park, multiple theaters, dozens of restaurants, and shopping areas. It represented the ultimate expression of the Las Vegas mega-resort concept. These mega-resorts transformed Las Vegas from a gambling destination into a complete entertainment and vacation experience. Families began visiting Las Vegas, attracted by the themed hotels, shows, and attractions that didn't necessarily involve gambling. The city's marketing slogan changed from "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas" to more family-friendly themes. But even as Las Vegas was growing dramatically, other parts of Nevada were also experiencing significant changes. Reno reinvented itself as a destination for outdoor recreation, taking advantage of its proximity to Lake Tahoe, the Sierra Nevada mountains, and numerous recreational opportunities. The city also began attracting technology companies and other businesses looking for Nevada's favorable tax climate and business-friendly regulations. The 1980s and 1990s also saw Nevada begin to diversify its economy beyond gaming and tourism. The state actively recruited companies in technology, aerospace, logistics, and other industries. Nevada's lack of a state income tax, relatively low cost of living, and business-friendly regulatory environment made it attractive to companies looking to relocate or expand. One of the most significant developments was the growth of Nevada as a distribution and logistics center. The state's central location in the western United States, combined with excellent transportation infrastructure, made it an ideal location for companies that needed to distribute products throughout the western region. The federal government also continued to play an important role in Nevada's economy. The Nevada test site remained active, though underground testing replaced atmospheric testing after 1962. The federal government also established other research and development facilities in Nevada, including the Yucca Mountain Nuclear Waste Repository Project. Mining also experienced a renaissance during this period, though it was very different from the gold and silver rushes of earlier eras. New technologies, particularly heap leaching, made it profitable to extract gold from low-grade ore deposits that had previously been uneconomical to mine. Nevada became the nation's largest gold producer, accounting for about 75% of all gold mined in the United States. The state's population growth during this period was extraordinary. Nevada was the fastest growing state in the nation for most of the 1980s and 1990s, with population growth rates often exceeding 5% per year. Las Vegas, in particular, experienced explosive growth, with the metropolitan area's population increasing from about 460,000 in 1980 to over 1.2 million by 2000. This rapid growth created both opportunities and challenges. Nevada had to build massive new infrastructure to support its growing population, including schools, roads, water systems, and power plants. The state also had to address environmental concerns related to rapid development in the desert. Chapter 10: The 21st Century, Challenges and Continued Growth. The 21st century has brought both unprecedented growth and significant challenges to Nevada. The state has continued to evolve and diversify its economy while maintaining its position as America's entertainment capital. But it has also had to confront issues related to rapid population growth, economic volatility, and environmental sustainability. The early 2000s continued the explosive growth patterns of the 1990s. Las Vegas remained one of the fastest-growing metropolitan areas in the United States, and Nevada continued to be the nation's fastest-growing state. The gaming and tourism industry continued to expand, with new mega-resorts like the Bellagio, the Venetian, and Wynn Las Vegas setting new standards for luxury and sophistication. But the real story of early 21st century Nevada was economic diversification. The state successfully attracted major companies in technology, logistics, aerospace, and other industries. Companies like Amazon, Tesla, Google, and Microsoft established major operations in Nevada, attracted by the state's business-friendly environment, lack of state income tax, and skilled workforce. The most significant of these developments was Tesla's decision to build its massive gigafactory near Reno. The factory, which began production in 2016, is one of the largest buildings in the world by footprint and represents Tesla's commitment to large-scale electric vehicle and battery production. The Gigafactory has brought thousands of high-paying jobs to Nevada and helped establish the state as a center for clean energy technology. Nevada also became a major center for data storage and cloud computing, earning the nickname the data center capital of the world. Companies like Apple, Google, and Facebook built massive data centers in Nevada, attracted by the state's low cost of electricity, favorable climate for cooling computers, and reliable infrastructure. But Nevada's growth story was interrupted by the Great Recession of 2008-2012, which hit the state harder than almost anywhere else in the country. Nevada's economy, which had become heavily dependent on construction, real estate, and tourism, was devastated when the housing bubble burst and tourism declined. The unemployment rate in Nevada reached over 14% in 2010, the highest in the nation. Las Vegas was particularly hard hit, with massive construction projects halted, casinos struggling, and thousands of workers losing their jobs. The foreclosure rate in Nevada was the highest in the country, and many communities saw property values decline by 50% or more. The recovery from the Great Recession was gradual, but ultimately successful. Nevada's leaders used the crisis as an opportunity to further diversify the state's economy and reduce its dependence on construction and tourism. The state actively recruited companies in technology, manufacturing, and other industries, offering tax incentives and other benefits to attract new businesses. The recovery was also helped by the continued evolution of the gaming and tourism industry. Las Vegas casinos invested heavily in new amenities, restaurants, shopping, and entertainment offerings designed to attract visitors even during difficult economic times. The city also expanded its convention and trade show business, which provided a more stable source of revenue than traditional tourism. The 2010s saw Nevada return to rapid growth, though the growth was more balanced and diversified than in previous decades. The state's population reached over 3 million people, and the economy became much less dependent on any single industry. Today's Nevada faces new challenges and opportunities. The state is grappling with rapid population growth and the infrastructure needs that come with it, including water resources in an increasingly arid climate. Nevada is also dealing with the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, which hit the tourism and entertainment industries particularly hard. But Nevada has also positioned itself well for future growth. The state's investments in renewable energy, technology, and advanced manufacturing have created a more diverse and resilient economy. Nevada produces more solar energy per capita than any other state and has become a leader in renewable energy development. The state has also maintained its position as America's entertainment capital while expanding into new forms of entertainment and tourism. Las Vegas has become a major destination for sporting events, music festivals, and other large-scale entertainment productions. Conclusion: Nevada's enduring spirit. As we conclude our journey through Nevada's remarkable history, it's clear that the Silver State embodies the American spirit of reinvention and adaptation like no other place in the nation. From the ancient peoples who first learned to thrive in the desert, to the miners who struck it rich in the Comstock lode, to the visionaries who built Las Vegas into the entertainment capital of the world, Nevada has always been a place where people come to pursue their dreams and create something new. What makes Nevada's story so compelling is not just the dramatic boom and bust cycles or the larger-than-life characters who shaped its development, but the consistent ability of Nevadans to adapt to changing circumstances and find new opportunities in the face of challenges. When the Comstock mines played out, Nevada found new mineral wealth in other parts of the state. When mining declined, the state embraced gambling and tourism. When the traditional casino model began to show its age, entrepreneurs created new forms of entertainment and hospitality. When the Great Recession devastated the construction and tourism industries, Nevada diversified into technology, renewable energy, and advanced manufacturing. This pattern of adaptation and reinvention continues today. Nevada is no longer just a mining state or just a gambling destination. It's a diverse, modern economy that includes technology, aerospace, logistics, renewable energy, and advanced manufacturing, alongside its traditional strengths in gaming and tourism. But perhaps most importantly, Nevada has maintained its unique character throughout all these transformations. It remains a place where individual initiative is valued, where regulations are minimal, and where people can pursue opportunities that might not be available elsewhere. The same spirit that drove prospectors to search for silver in remote mountain ranges now drives entrepreneurs to build electric vehicle factories and data centers in the Nevada desert. Nevada's story is far from over. The state continues to grow and evolve, facing new challenges related to water resources, sustainable development, and economic diversification. But if history is any guide, Nevadans will meet these challenges with the same creativity, determination, and willingness to take risks that have characterized the state throughout its remarkable history. From the indigenous peoples who first called this desert home to the modern tech entrepreneurs building the economy of the future, Nevada has always been a place where people come to write new chapters in the American story. And as we look to the future, there's every reason to believe that Nevada will continue to be a place where dreams are pursued, fortunes are made, and the impossible becomes possible. Meta, sex. The Silver State's greatest resource has never been its gold or silver, or even its casinos. It's been the spirit of its people and their willingness to embrace change, take risks, and build something extraordinary in one of the most challenging and beautiful environments on Earth. That spirit continues today, and it will undoubtedly shape whatever remarkable chapters come next in Nevada's ongoing story. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Nevada's incredible history. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what aspect of Nevada's history you found most fascinating. And remember, in Nevada, the next chapter is always just beginning.